Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I am playing with this Brutus Monroe stamp set. This is the stamp set Inked Flowers and it's really gorgeous. It's just a bunch of different flowers and leaves and it's just a really great stamp set to have in your stash. I'm also using some Bristol smooth cardstock because I'm going to be using my zig brushes today, and I cannot recommend a better paper to use with your zigs than this Bristol smooth. It just works amazing for using your zigs, so that's what I'm going for. I'm actually only going to use the leaves today on this card. I'm going with an autumn feel of a card. I am ready for the fall. I am ready for cooler weather, and I don't know if you are as well, but if I don't start fall decorating and things by September, there's usually something wrong with me. So I'm going ahead with the fall cards already. Also, how do you guys like my nails? I usually don't have my nails done, but I thought I needed a change. I put on this really gold nail polish. I kind of really like it. It's not going to stay for very long. I don't do well with painted nails. They kind of, they always just chip and look horrible in a day, but you know, I was going with the whole fall theme, so I thought I'd put it on for this video. Anyway, I am loading up my MISTI. I have a piece of that Bristol smooth cardstock cut down to a rectangle, and I'm going to stamp these, not the flowers, the leaves all around the outside and kind of make a frame with my leaves. I want to emboss them with some Brutus Monroe penny embossing powder. That is their coppery color, and it's just gorgeous for fall, really shiny. Y'all know I love my gilded, but for fall I think the copper is a really great color. So I am stamping these out with my embossing ink, and then I'm going to just sprinkle on my embossing powder over that ink so it will stick, and then hit it with my heat tool. Now if you get any of this embossing powder sticking where it's not supposed to stick, there's a few things you can do. You can use an embossing buddy bag and put down a little bit of anti-static cling powder, and you can also take a dry brush and just brush away some of that extra powder where it's not supposed to stick before you hit it with your heat tool. And those are a few ways you can clean up your image to get a great embossed image. So here are a few of those leaves. I went ahead and I embossed them all around the outside, just kind of alternated the different styles of leaves, trying to keep it in sort of a frame sort of look, and I've got them all embossed. And if I tilt this in the light, you guys can see how shiny that embossing powder is, and I just love it. Now I've zoomed in here so I can show you my coloring. Here are the zigs that I'll be using. I did also add a few other colors of brown, but I wanted a really rich fall palette. So I've grabbed a few greens, some browns, even a purple and a yellowish color, and I just really love the way it turned out. So the way I'm going to be doing my zig coloring is I'm going to take my zigs and then just add a little bit of color on my leaves. I'm not coloring the whole thing. Once you get this color moving with water, you don't need a lot. You'll find out very quickly you don't need a lot. This color moves very well on this Bristol smooth paper. So I'm just taking my water brush and I am gently spreading that color out. I'm just kind of pulling it from the center out to the outside with my water brush. You don't need a lot of water on your brush. It just takes a little bit and it spreads very easily. So I went ahead with my lightest color and got a application of that color down first. I'm coming in with a darker green, adding a little bit to the center of this leaf. Again, you don't need much, just put a little bit, and then you can blend that out with your brush. Now I'm also doing these two other leaves at the same time that I'm doing the same color combination, and I've kind of tried to pick the leaves that are in a triangle shape. If you can see there, if you connect the leaves with a straight line, it'll kind of make a triangle. And I usually try to follow that general rule for my coloring if I'm doing patterns or something, because your eye is more drawn to that design and it makes it look a little bit more organic and just pleasant pattern work. So I'm taking my water brush and I'm going to blend that darker green out again. over my lighter green. Now you can wait between layers for this watercolor to dry. You can also hit it with your heat tool, but if you don't use a lot of water, I find by the time I get back to my first leaf, it's already ready to blend out again. So for my last color on these leaves, I'm using a little bit of brown, and I just want a little tiny bit. I put a little bit on the bottom, blending it out with my brush, and I'm not even taking this color all the way to the sides. I'm just adding a little bit, just a little darker to make it look like a little bit more shading, and the brown adds to that fall feel. So my next color combination is more of a yellow. I found a brownish yellow in my stash. I don't know the color because I didn't look at it, but it's more of a darker yellow, almost a brown. And I did that again with 3 leaves that are kind of in a triangle. And once I got my light yellow on, I'm coming in with a reddish brown. I thought the red in this brown would go really well with these yellows, and I actually really like this combination. It brings out a more of a reddish orange kind of leaf. And I don't know if you guys have a favorite fall leaf color, but mine is definitely those reds and those yellows, those really bright ones. Those are my favorite. Of course, I love them all because I love everything fall, except for pumpkin spice lattes. I will say I did not enjoy them. The first few sips was good, but after that, it was just too much for me. So I like pumpkin spice everything else. I love pumpkin butterscotch cookies. Maybe not so much the pumpkin spice latte. You guys let me know in the comments if you love the PSL or if it's something that you steer clear of in that autumn season. Anyway, moving on. For my next color combination on these leaves, I'm actually bringing in some purple. And at first when I was applying this purple, I thought this might be too bright. It might not go with the color combination, but I'm really loving the way it turned out, and I'll show you what I did. So I went ahead, colored my triangle of leaves. I am spreading that color out with my water brush, just filling those leaves up with color. And then after I've got that done, I'm coming in with that reddish brown that I applied to my yellow leaves. I'm going to use that one on my purples. Now, a red with your purples gives you sort of a burgundy maroonish kind of color, and adding that brown, that rich dark color to these purple leaves gave me like a purpley brown maroonish kind of feel, and I really love it. I love that plum color in the fall, and I was kind of going for that. I don't know if I completely achieved it, but I do love the rich colors that happened here with this combination. So it's really fun to go ahead and play with your zigs, do different color combinations, and see what you can come up with. So again, I am just going with my water brush with my little triangle of purple leaves, spreading out that color, and then here is my finished panel. I colored those last 3 leaves with just some boring browns, a lighter brown, a darker brown, just to kind of fill in those leaves and complete this panel. And you can see how amazing that looks with that penny embossing powder. So one thing I wanted to add here, just a little bit more texture, interest, whatever you want to call it, is some splatters, because I love to splatter. So I'm just taking that plastic sheet off of my stamp set. I colored a little bit more of that reddish brown on there, mixed it with a little bit of water from my water brush, and I'm just picking that up and splattering it on by just simply tapping my water brush with my finger. You can get different sizes of splatters depending on the size of brush you choose. So if I wanted to go bigger, I would have grabbed my larger water brush. I didn't want to overwhelm it with splatters. I just wanted tiny ones around the outside, kind of adding to that framed look of these flowers. And then I wanted to leave the inside middle clear so that I could put my sentiment on there. So just tapping on some splatters, and I really like how it looked. Now again, you could leave this and let it air dry. It really didn't take very long, so I did not hit it with a heat tool or anything. If you want to speed it up, you can hit it with the heat tool. I would just say if you're going to hit it with a heat tool again, be careful of those embossed lines. You don't want to melt them again and then make them smear, because that is something that I've done in the past. So here is my fall panel. I'm going to go ahead and stamp out my sentiment. Now I'm using my mini MISTI. I found that I'm really loving my mini MISTI lately. I have the larger size, and that's great if you're doing larger stamping. If I'm just doing sentiments or some simple stamping, fussy cutting, my mini MISTI is the one that I reach for most often. Takes up less room, and it's easier for me to work with in my small workspace. So I'm loading my sentiment on this card panel, and I'm going to stamp it out with my Brutus Monroe Raven Detail ink. And I showed you here I stamped once, but I did actually go back and stamp this 3 times to get a nice black sentiment. I'm loading the back of my panel up with foam adhesive so that I can pop it up a little bit on my lunch bag cardstock. And I also wanted to kind of help that panel be flat with adding some water there and adding some embossing. It did warp a little bit, not bad, but a little bit. And I think that foam on the back really helps keep it straight and even. So I'm getting that centered on my lunch bag cardstock, and that's pretty much going to complete this card. After the video, after I turned my camera off, I did go back with some Nouveau sequins. I think they're champagne gold or something like that. Added some sequins all around the outside, and I think that just added to the gold and the shine. So I really love the way this card turned out. I hope you do too. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, tap the bell for notifications, and just do all the things. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!